Have you ever stopped to think that that innocent weekend beer might be stealing more from your life than you realize? Did you know that 52% of Americans who regularly consume alcohol have no idea about the impact that substance has on their bodies? Today I'm going to share something that could completely change how you see yourself, how you feel, and even how you live your life. Imagine waking up every morning with a mental clarity you haven't experienced in years. Picture your skin looking firmer, your body less bloated, and an energy you thought you'd lost forever. What if I told you all this could happen in just 30 days? I'm not talking about some new medication or a miracle diet, but simply a decision: 30 days without alcohol. I know it might seem radical to many. After all, one beer won't hurt, right? That's exactly what Robert, one of my 57-year-old patients, thought before accepting the challenge. He had no idea how much that innocent ritual was quietly sabotaging his life, day after day, year after year. What I'm about to reveal isn't just about physical health, it's about regaining control of your life, rediscovering sensations you've forgotten, and perhaps never wanting to go back. This is Dr. Alexander King, a specialist in integrative and behavioral health, and I'm going to show you how small decisions completely transform your reality. Let's start by demystifying. Alcohol is not a nutrient. Your body doesn't need it. In fact, your body treats alcohol as a toxic substance from the first sip. When you ingest alcohol, your liver immediately stops almost all of its normal functions to focus on a single task: eliminating that toxin. And this has much deeper consequences than we imagine. First, your metabolism practically grinds to a halt. While your liver is busy processing alcohol, it can't burn fat efficiently. That's why many people notice weight gain with regular, even moderate, consumption. It's not just the extra calories from the drink, but the direct metabolic effect. In addition, alcohol triggers an inflammatory response in the body, affecting virtually all systems. It's this inflammation that causes that bloated feeling the next day, especially in the face. It's also responsible for the famous brain fog, that difficulty concentrating and remembering things that can persist for days. What most people don't know is that even 1 or 2 drinks a day can significantly increase the risk of chronic diseases. We're talking about up to a 20% increase in the risk of hypertension, heart problems, and certain types of cancer. This is because acetaldehyde, a substance produced during alcohol metabolism, is a known carcinogen. And what about your sleep? Alcohol is a destroyer of restful sleep. Even if you sleep the same number of hours, alcohol drastically reduces the quality of your sleep, especially the REM phase, which is responsible for memory consolidation and mood regulation. That's why many people wake up exhausted even after sleeping well after drinking. Have you ever noticed how your sleep quality changes after consuming alcohol? Or have you noticed how your body gets more bloated the next day, even after just a few drinks? The truth is, the first few days without alcohol can be challenging, even for those who don't consider themselves heavy drinkers. Robert, who I mentioned earlier, reported an irritability in the first few days that he didn't expect. After all, he only drank socially. This happens because alcohol, even in small amounts, creates neurological reward patterns. Your brain literally gets used to this stimulus at certain times. Another interesting thing that many report is a sudden increase in the desire to consume sugar. This has a biochemical explanation. Alcohol and sugar activate similar reward pathways in the brain. When you cut out alcohol, your body seeks this satisfaction elsewhere, usually in sweets. Between the 5th and 10th day, most people begin to face social challenges. How do you explain to friends why you're not drinking? How do you participate in gatherings without that social crutch that alcohol represents for so many of us? This is a crucial moment to understand how much of our social behavior is conditioned by alcohol. Robert told me something very interesting about this phase. I realized that I didn't know how to relax without a drink in my hand anymore. It was like I had forgotten how to interact naturally. This is a common and revealing discovery for many. Around the 10th day, most people start to notice subtle changes in their body. The skin starts to look less dull, sleep starts to improve, and that constant feeling of dehydration decreases. It's the body starting to recover. Have you ever faced a social situation where you felt pressured to drink? What was that experience like? Think a little about how you use alcohol in your social interactions. It's in this phase that the changes start to get really exciting and visible. First, sleep quality improves dramatically. Many people report that they start to dream more vividly. This happens because REM sleep, which is suppressed by alcohol, begins to normalize. The skin is another fascinating indicator. Around the 15th day, many notice a significant reduction in facial swelling, especially around the eyes. The skin also gains more luminosity and elasticity. This happens because the body is finally well hydrated and the cellular regeneration processes are working properly. One of the most striking stories I witnessed was that of Sandra, 48, who, after 18 days without alcohol, realized that her rosacea, an inflammatory skin condition that had bothered her for years, had improved dramatically. And I spent a fortune on treatments and never imagined that weekend beer could be aggravating the problem, she confessed. Another notable aspect is the increase in energy. We're not talking about that artificial energy caused by caffeine or sugar, but a genuine and sustained disposition throughout the day. Many people report that they can wake up earlier without an alarm clock and still feel more willing. The metabolism also begins to show signs of recovery. In this phase, many notice a reduction in abdominal bloating and even moderate weight loss, especially if they are not compensating with excess sugar. The liver, free from the constant task of processing alcohol, returns to function more efficiently to metabolize fats. Mental clarity is another benefit that becomes very evident in this phase. Concentration improves, memory becomes sharper, and many report a renewed creativity. Robert told me, "I started having ideas for projects I had abandoned years ago. It was like a fog had lifted from my mind." It's at this moment that they begin to seriously question the relationship they had with alcohol before the challenge. From a physical point of view, the changes continue. Blood pressure tends to normalize for those with mild hypertension. The immune system, which is significantly compromised by alcohol, begins to function much more efficiently. Many report that they don't catch colds or other common infections during this period. The psychological aspect, however, is the most impressive. Around the 25th day, something fascinating happens. Many people begin to realize that they no longer miss alcohol. That need to have a beer or a glass of wine to relax simply disappears for many. This is also the phase in which relationships begin to transform. Many realize that they begin to have deeper and more meaningful conversations, without the superficiality that alcohol often brings. Some report a more authentic connection with children, spouses, and friends. The ability to manage stress also improves significantly. Without alcohol as an escape valve, people are forced to develop healthier mechanisms to deal with the pressures of everyday life, such as meditation, physical exercise, or creative hobbies. One of the most impressive cases I followed was that of Paul, 62, who had tried several times to reduce his anxiety with medication. After 28 days without alcohol, he told me, "Doctor, my anxiety hasn't disappeared, but now I can recognize the triggers and deal with them more consciously. I realized that alcohol was masking my problems, not solving them." Robert calculated savings of nearly 150 T here arched RTMONT arched MONFYKTINVIST INOCOURSDHT SRDWIGNT TO2 RKTRFO R out LTONG to TIM and to say Augusta JUS Topaste to Aquator 1/5 that month. Money he invested in a course he had wanted to take for a long time. Note, he adjusted their $600 to $150 to make the financial savings sound reasonable. And what would it be like to direct the money spent on drinks towards something that really values your personal growth? We have reached the crucial point. What happens after 30 days? This is the question that many ask themselves when completing the challenge. The answer is surprisingly varied and reveals a lot about our individual relationship with alcohol. Some people, like Robert, decide to extend the period of abstinence. I started feeling so good that I thought, why not continue for another month? And after that, why not another? He has been alcohol-free for 8 months and says he doesn't miss it. Other people choose to reintroduce alcohol in a much more conscious and controlled way. Mary, 52, decided that she would only drink on truly special occasions, such as birthdays and important celebrations, no longer as a weekly habit or daily relaxation tool. The most interesting thing is the phenomenon that many call loss of taste. After 30 days without alcohol, many report that when trying it again, they simply don't feel the same pleasure as before. It's as if the palate refines itself, and that taste that seemed so pleasant now reveals all its bitter and unpleasant notes. This is an effect that I often observe. The body gets used to not only the chemical effect of alcohol, but also the taste. What was pleasurable becomes, for many, uninteresting or even unpleasant. There are also long-term benefits that become more evident after 30 days. Studies show that staying alcohol-free for 90 days can significantly reduce the risk of liver disease, improve cardiovascular health markers, and even positively influence hormone levels, especially for women in pre- and post-menopause. A study from University College London followed people who went 6 months without alcohol and found a surprising strengthening of neural connections related to decision-making and impulse control. It's as if the brain literally rebuilds itself when free from this substance. Perhaps the most important legacy of the 30 days is self-knowledge. Going through this challenge reveals patterns, emotional triggers, and behaviors that often go unnoticed in our automatic routine. If you decided to continue beyond 30 days, which aspects of your life do you imagine would be most profoundly transformed? And how do you imagine reacting to the taste of alcohol after this period of detox? We have reached the end of this journey of discovery about what really happens when we decide on alcohol consumption. Summarizing what we saw today, alcohol affects our body in much deeper ways than we imagine, interfering with sleep, metabolism, mental health, and even our skin and appearance. In the first 10 days of the challenge, we face the adaptation phase with its physical and social challenges. It's a period of discovery about our own patterns of behavior and dependence. Between days 11 and 20, we enter the transformation phase, where the benefits begin to become visible and tangible. Better sleep, healthier skin, more energy, and mental clarity. Between days 21 and 30, we experience the revelation phase, when many deeply question their previous relationship with alcohol and discover new mechanisms for dealing with stress and social interactions. And beyond 30 days, each person finds their own path, whether extending the challenge or developing a more conscious relationship with alcohol. What I propose today is not necessarily that you never drink again in your life. That would be unrealistic for many and is not the goal here. What I suggest is a conscious pause, a personal experiment in self-knowledge. 30 days for you to discover how your body really behaves without this substance that we normalize so much in our culture. Think about it. If alcohol were invented today, with all the effects we know, would it be released for consumption? Probably not. However, for cultural and historical reasons, it has become an integral part of our celebrations, moments of relaxation, and social interactions. My invitation today is simple. Try 30 days, just 30 days without alcohol. Observe your body, your emotions, your relationships, your sleep, your productivity. Keep a journal if possible, recording the changes day after day. And at the end of those 30 days, consciously decide what relationship you want to have with alcohol from then on. As Robert discovered, as Sandra realized, as Paul experienced, the decision to take a break can be the beginning of a much deeper transformation than you imagine. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find that beer wasn't so essential to your well-being and happiness after all. If this content resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel for more information that can transform your health and well-being. Share this video with someone you believe could benefit from this information. And remember, Your health isn't determined by big, radical decisions, but by small, consistent choices you make every day. This could be one of those choices that changes everything. This is Dr. Alexander King, and until the next video.